Good morning, teacher, and hello, everyone. We are from Group 4 that have 5 members. We have Heng Long, Savanurat, Rosa, Han Pisai, and me, Vattai. Today, we are going to present the story of the village by the sea in chapter 11, and also focus on three main important parts, such as the first one, we want to focus on summary of the chapter. Second part, focus on analysis of main message of the chapter, and the last part of our group presentation is about analysis of connection between study text and real life. For me, I'm the one who responds the summary part of the chapter 11. Now, if you want to know what's happened next in the story, let's take a look in our slide and I will start my summary. Okay, let's start. Harry tells Mr. Penberlaff of his desire to go back to his village, but Mr. Penberlaff encouraged Harry to stay on during the rainy season because the ferry doesn't travel to rivers. He said he wants to keep up his training, then Harry can go back and set up as the village watchman there. Harry laughed at the old man speak and he replied that what watch and clock were there in his village where everyone told the time by the sun? Because of the weather go worse day by day, the old man got sick and can't open his shop anymore. So Harry hasn't met him for a long time. But one day a customer come looking for his watch and asked Jagu next door if he knew what happened to the old man watchman there. Harry Harry found out where the old man lived and he heard Jagu giving a customer Mr. Penwaller's home address. Harry excitedly asked for it as well to visit Mr. Penwaller's. The old man has comfortable tiny home and he is improving in his health. Everyone in his area love him and they have been taking care of him. Mr. Penwallace is delighted to see Harry and they talk about Harry's plan to return to Duel. He suggests Harry should not have left, but Harry said that he had to because there was no work for him there. Mr. Penwallace replied that you can find work anywhere as long you can use your hand and will be willing to change and adapt. Harry tell him of the factory and how he think only skilled worker will be wanted. Mr. Penwallace explained that maybe so, but there will be another job building the factory or the road or providing the food for the worker. And someday there will be a need for those workers to have their watch and clock fixed. Harry laughed back in surprise and he said that why hadn't I thought of this? He tells Mr. Penwallace he wants to learn as much as he can. This is what the old man wants to hear, and he feels Harry that he must always learn so one can grow and change. Things always change. Nothing remains the same. Not even Bombay is the same. Harry is a lucky since he is young and he can definitely change. Old people can't, but Harry can. Harry worked hard and spent less time in the eating house and spent more time helping an old man. The rent slow. Harry never does go to the disabled home for help. He is no longer frightened and confused boy, and he is figuring out of his own life. Harry wished he could go back after Coconut Day, but Jagu tell him he ought to stay until delivery. Because his brother will come to help him and replacing Harry's position. When Harry tells Mr. Penwallace he is disappointed by this, but he knows Jagu did a lot for him. So Mr. Penwallace said that it is good thing because it has a lot more things to teach Harry. Later that day, they are finished up their work on Japanese watch. When the customer come to pay for it, Mr. Penwallace tell him to give all the money to Harry who did all the work. Harry is turning and said that he will buy his present for his family. Coconut Day arrived, and the sea is calm, the cloud puffy, and the sign of the smell sweet. Bombay seemed like a fairground. Mr. Penwallace and Harry enjoyed the day together. The old man bought Harry a coconut and said that you can keep your money for your present to your family, and this one I pay it for you. Thousands of coconut dumped into the sea where the people tossed them, and he fight for traditional 5-for-1. He emerged from the water dripping and Mr. Penwallace warmly tell him now you become a real city boy, have you? Harry began to feel ashamed and looked around the beggar to whom he could give coconut. But Mr. Penwallace was not shocked. He was laughing and he will not worry about him anymore. That's all for the chapter 11 and now let's move to the next presenter. Thank you.
So now, I would like to thank Sis Day for your clear summary of chapter 11. So my name is Tang Rosa. So now I would like to draw your attention to my part where I'm going to talk about the main mistakes in the story. So for the first mistake, main mistake that I have received from the chapter is that everything is always moving forward and it doesn't wait for anyone, especially people who don't accept the change. So realistically, we can clearly see that there is a significant difference between 10 years ago and now. For example, back to the time where when Phnom Penh city was not as developed as nowadays or like as modern as nowadays. So similarly, it means that time does not wait for anyone and it always move forward and you must learn, adapt and grow in order to keep up with the new. So in contrast, for those who are stubborn about making an effort to learn or adapt to the change will be in the same place where and will definitely fall behind. So Mr. Panbala's message to Harry is to accept that the world is changing and he must be humble enough as he's willing to put in the effort to achieve the result that he desires. So so by all means, Mr. Panbala is a kind-hearted old gentleman who took Harry under his wing and taught him everything he knows without wanting anything in return. So thankfully that Harry is not stubborn, so that he is able to accept the truth and be humble enough to stay, so that he can learn how to like main the watch or the about the watch mending skill that Mr. Panbala will be going to teach him. So as you can see, by applying psychoanalytic on the first message to analyze Mr. Panbala, let's take a look about the first part where I'm going to talk about the desire. So his desire is to show Harry how the world is going to change and how and to teach him a mending skill. So we can clearly demonstrate that Mr. Panbala's desire is to show the world actually functions and how we as human we can do it. Another important point is that Mr. Panbala's intention are poor, so he saw nothing but sympathy and kindness toward Harry, and he teach Harry such a valuable lessons as long as you can use your hand, so you will be able to find work anywhere. So furthermore, he also advised Harry to change his mindset and to see more opportunity that were presented to Harry. So we can say that Mr. Panbala's desire are almost fulfilled. Moreover, Mr. Panbala was overjoyed to see Harry participate in the traditional event like the real city boys, and he added that you look like a real city boy and he no longer has to worry about Harry. So now let's move to the next point where I'm going to talk about the fear. So the fear is that Harry will come back home without money, plans, and the skill to provide for his family. So at the beginning of the chapter, he was so concerned with Harry's decision to return back home without any plans or money, especially during the motion. So by applying his word and his concern about Harry, we can conclude that he was so worried about Harry's well-being as well as well-being of Harry's family. So to demonstrate this, let's take look back and think a little bit about how Mr. Parvala said that the ferry doesn't transport people during the monsoon. So this demonstrates that he was so concerned about Harry returning home when there is no way for him to do so. So similarly, he stated that by then you will have you will have self more money. So what Mr. Panbala was trying to tell Harry was that even if he went back immediately, he would have no way of providing or supporting his family. So sorry. But if he stay and learn a new food skill, he could use that to earn money so that Harry would be able to help his family out of poverty as well. So in another word, that Harry won't go back to the same place as before, like which means that this time he go back to the same place but as a different person so that he can survive himself as well as his family. And about the need is that Mr. Panbala need to pass on his understanding and his knowledge to Harry so that he would be able to support his family. So as we can see that Mr. Panvala need and not that much different from his desire. So he need to get better from his illness. So he will be able to teach Harry his watchmaking skill. So more importantly, at first Harry view the change in his homelands as a bad outcome. And he also believe that when the factory are built, they will only employ skilled worker and the energy, which mean that they also employ that someone who has a higher degree, something like that, and that when he will that he will be unable to find job, but in reality he could do a lot more than what he mentioned earlier. What about labor work? Mr. Panvala asked, what about providing food for the worker? Is there a need to repair, wash, or cook or clothes, for people? So, however, Mr. Panvala successfully changed how Harry thought, and Harry himself wasn't stubborn. So, he accepted what Mr. Panvala was trying to tell him with the new mindset and new skill that Mr. Panvala passed to him. So, Harry has become a man who will be able to support his family. So about the last part where I'm going to talk about the value. So he value adaptation, learning, and growth. So in a more in-depth examinations, I believe that the author created character to represent wisdom and hope. It all because he value learning, adaptations, and growth, and things will always change and keep moving forward. And he has an understanding that the only way to survive is to keep learning and take the opportunity that are presented in front of you. So in short, if you are blinded by fear and see opportunity as negatively, you will miss them, which means that you will miss that chance. Yeah. So let's move to the next slide. Next slide, please. So the second main mistake is about so before I started analyzing the second-hand message, I would like to ask all of you who have heard the phrases that don't forget your origin no matter how far you have become, right? So in this second message, I'm sure that we all similarly with the message that the author trying to communicate to the reader. So no matter how high your stature, your social status, is or how much money that you have earned, you must not forget where your birthplace is and who gave birth to you. So to reflect on this, to reflect on our society, when people reach the top, they completely forgot what about those who were with them and support them when they were at the bottom. So like rest in our society, we view this art as a regret. So especially for those who have abandoned or left their family in a state of poverty while themselves enjoying a comfortable and lavish life. So in some way, we have applied psychoanalysis to Harry as well as we have come to the conclusion that there are four elements in this message. So the first one where I'm going to talk about desire. So the first thing is that his desire is to go back to his family and his homeland. So according to the story, when he heard about the ship that was lost at the sea, he expressed like concern for his family and the well-being of his people homeland. So it only natural for people who wanting to go back to their family after a long time of being apart from them. So for example, like for us as a university student, when we got a scholarship to study abroad or got into an exchange student program, then we go and study abroad for almost 1-2 years or 3 and so on. So commonly, we are definitely missing our home country or our birthplace because no matter how much you have uh you are able to adapt to the new culture, new custom or norm or the lifestyle abroad. I'm truly believe that everyone still miss their family and their favorite dish that their parents make for them. So about the need is to Harry need is to be back with his family and take care of all of them. So as we can see that he wanted to stay with his family during the monsoon season because he need to take care of them. But in the story has stated that he was so concerned about how could his sister look after the family because the house they live in wasn't durable enough to provide comfort for his family, and he was the only man in the household. So aside from his father. So from what I have stated above, we can say that he's thinking like another, even though he still consider himself as a young boy, as a young boy in his village. So somehow this young boy need is to be able to support and protect his family, and he will be do anything that he can for them. So even if he decide to quit school, but he's still able to make a decision that are considered as the right thing to do. So likewise in society, people tend to think about their family, the loved one, and other important people around them when something happens. So to demonstrate, let's say that COVID-19 pandemic were when the first outbreak in Cambodia began. Who do we think about first? So wholeheartedly say that the first things an important thing that come into our mind is our family safety. And after that, it could be your friends and your neighbor or something like that. So for about the fear is that he feared that Jago didn't want him to leave. So as we can see that in the text, he had expressed such a great concern that he wanted to return regardless of money or whether he thinks to himself that he was not a city boy and he don't want to become one. But Yago doesn't want him to leave, and this is his primary concern because Yago consider Harry to be as a member of his family, and it could be difficult for Harry in this situation. But luckily, Yago understood that Harry wishes is to be back to his family, and he also persuade Harry to stay until the Diwali festival. So in addition, Harry thinks that it would only make him look like a fool, like being a part of the Sivla family when he can make a decision on his own. So if he become a servant of the Siva family, he will lose his freedom as well as his right of making decision. So to end this, Harry feel that his family will be in the worst possible condition during the monsoon season. So Jacob is going to use every way that he can to prevent Harry from going back. So significantly, if we apply this to our life, let's imagine a scenario with me. So, what if one of our family member had something terrible happen to them? Wouldn't you be panicked that and want to go to have them straight away? So on this part of this story, it has shown how much Harry care about his family. So about the last part, I'm going to talk about the value. Harry value his family more than his homeland. So as we can see that Harry has demonstrated in this section of the story that he values his family even more than his homeland. Why do I say like this? It's because that he's shown a deep concern about his family well-being first before he thinks about his homeland. So this is because he remember who gave birth to him and those people who were important to him. So for me personally, everyone will put their family first before anyone else. It because our family has been through ups and downs with us since you were born. So this create a mature understanding and a bond that other people cannot break. So this is the main reason why Harry value his family. So furthermore, if I were him, I would do the same because my family and my loved one are important to me than outsider. So in addition, even though Harry lived in a city and started to earn money, but he still didn't forget his family. He just stay until the Diwali festival and then he will go back to his family so that he could take care of his family. So that's all for my point. So now let's move to sixth beside part where she going where she will go over the last man mistake in the graded test. Thank you.
Yes, hello teacher and hello everyone. My name is Haim Pisais and my part is continue from my member Rosa. It is talking about the third main mistake. The third main mistake that I have discovered is hard work always prevails. We see this all over the world. Those who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into achieving their goal will succeed in the end. In contrast, for those who don't even attempt to put in the effort to obtain what they desire, instead simply hoping and praying, those things will get better. Realistically, it will never happen by simply praying and wishing. You must get your hand dirty. In other words, thinking about action will result in nothing but dream that will never become a reality. Another another important thing is to remember is that every successful person we have seen put their heart and soul into working hard, and their work ethic is even crazier. For example, Elon Musk, I hope you guys know him. He is a CEO of Tesla Motors, one of the richest men in the world. Once stated that I will never give up, I have to be dead or completely incapacitated. I have used this to reflect on this third mistake, and I found a lot of similarity by playing psychoanalytic to Harry in this third mistake. We could clearly see what his desire, need, fear, and what he value. Yes, first is talking about his desire. After he understood that he didn't a positive mindset and determination to adapt to the change and see new opportunity in the change, he changed his desire from wanting to go back immediately to his hometown to learning a valuable skill that later he could use to provide for his family. To apply this to Harry, he didn't have a plans at first, but Mr. Parmalas showed him how he could earn money and support his family, except to say that Harry isn't a stupid boy because he understands what he needs and what is the next move, as well as what could be the outcomes of the situation he's in. A quote from T-Bone Pickens said, "A fool with a friend is better off than a genius without a friend." Nowadays, in society, we can see that people with desire and plan often achieve their goal in the end, whereas those with only desire but no friend always remain the same as they were before. The second point is about his need. Moreover, he was eager to learn watchmaking techniques from Mr. Panvalas. Furthermore, Harry needed to save money so that he could buy a gift for his sister, as he stated in the story. Moreover, both of his requirements are important. I say this because he first prioritized learning watchmaking and other skill is more important than how to earn money. After he earned money for the first time, all he could think of was saving money so that he could buy something for his family. In my own opinion, I found this very interesting because most people are more focused on how to make money than what valuable skill that I could learn then later use that to make money. In addition, this part of the story has illustrated is perfectly on how Harry is more focused on learning and grew. And and then
talking about his fear. Despite this, at first Harry thought that mending skill wouldn't be useful back in his homeland, and he wouldn't be able to find work either because he didn't have a degree and they would bring people from the city to do the labor work. For this, I would like to point out that almost everybody has been pessimistic at some point in their life. To demonstrate, let's say you are working in the accounting department and your boss delegates a new position to you as a supervisor of your department, but sadly with the fear that you cannot do a good job, you will lose their opportunity. However, I don't say you have to be optimistic all the time, but being positive in a bad situation could benefit you a lot. The fear of us is the barrier that we must overcome. If we don't, we will not grow. And for the last point is about his value. After attaining a new mindset, Harry value hard work, learning and grow. All of this is thanks to Mr. Pavela as stated above. When Harry heard the phrase, as long as you can use your hand, you can find work anywhere. Harry realized this when he earned 10 rupees from fixing a customer's voice and he could make the decision on his own. Similarly, just like in real life, there are many jobs available. It's up to you whether you are willing to do it or not. While that being said, hard work alone will help you reach your goal too, but it just require more time. On the contrary, like in the like in the story, Harry with his hard work and combined with his new mindset, he was able to earn money by himself. Another important point to remember is that hard work alone will not suffice. You will need a plan and a new mindset as well. A growth mindset to be exact. That's end of my explanation of this mistake. And last but not least, I would like all of you to remember that hard work, determination, and commitment is what brings you to the end result you have always dreamed of, not by wishing and praying of and praying for it. Please believe yourself and try yourself, and anything is possible. Thank you, teacher, and everyone for your attention. Then move to another member.
So, good morning, teachers and everybody. After our group member have explained about the first two sections, which are summary and analysis of the main message from the chapters, me, Savanadat, and Heng Long will be covering the last section, which is the analysis of the connection between the study text and real life. So let's get to the first main points of this. Okay, the first main point of the analysis is helping others will result in inner peace. So in the story, The Village by the Sea, Mr. Panwala is a wise man. He's helped Harry by teaching him how to fix watches without even like charging him for the learning fee. And instead, he actually gives Harry money for helping him. After Harry seems to like and know how to fix watches, Mr. Panwala is very happy because he could have a wandering urchin who cooks in the eating house to know how to fix watches. So, in reality, whenever we try to help someone from problems that they are facing and it is helpful to them, we will feel as if we have achieved an achievement in our life. So, to give an insight based on my own experience, when my friends ask me to give them a hand in dealing with some problems that they can't solve by themselves, I always try my best to solve it. After I successfully get around those problems, I always feels like, yeah, I have had a person getting one obstacle in their life, and yes, and it's made my day as well. So this is for the first main point. So let's get to the second main point of the analysis, which is the poor have to try their best to survive. So basically, Harry, the poor little boy who lost in Bombay, is trying his best to survive in the harsh environment by himself. So he works for Jagu, the owners of the eating house, to get some money, food, and place to live. Even after working for Jagu, he tries to spend like 2 hours a day to learn how to fix watches with Mr. Panwala. And as a skill which could help him find more money. And this shows us that just how hard life is when we are poor. Turning to reality, we also see these kinds of problems that the poor in our society are having. To illustrate, some university students who came from distant provinces don't have enough money to pay for their school. So to cope with this problem, they have to find a part-time jobs like delivery man, waiters, teachers, and more to do to get some money and save those for their university payment. And on the contrary, the rich only spend their time focusing on their learning without a care about finding work at all. Even if they actually do a work, it is for some extra money and experience for their future occupation, not the same problem that the poor have. So this is the second point of the analysis, and let's go to the third point of this analysis. So the third point is about helping others will result in being helped. So as the story progresses, Mr. Panwala feels sick and cannot keep his business running. In the story, Mr. Panwala is treated by his neighbors carefully. Even the doctor doesn't charge him for the service at all. The reason behind the action is that Mr. Panwala is a kind and helpful man among his neighborhood. If we take that idea and view the world we are living in, today it is well, the same way. To give an example, on the Run with Sai charity event, Mr. Sai and a group of teenagers was running around the country for 3 whole months to raise money for the children in Angkor Hospital. So he helped many children with the money his group has raised. Now, as the result of his sacrifice, both mentally and physically, he was helped by people along the way. He was given foods, drinks, and even places to rest for free. This example is the evidence that support the idea that helping others will eventually result in being helped. So, like, even though I have mentioned the 3 points of the analysis, that doesn't mean that it is over. So for the rest, let's turn to Heng Long. Yes, thank you.
Yes, good morning, teacher and everyone. This is my next part about the analysis between, oh, wait, sorry. About my part is the analyze between the story text and the real life and all the main point that I chose to analyze are all about the Mr. Parwala quotes because I think that all of his quote that he said they are very valuable for us to learn, and also it seems like he gave some remarkable advice toward Harry too. And for the first point is that he is about living in a harmony together. Uh, he promoted the unity and togetherness in this world. It was noticed when Harry asked him why he celebrated Coconut Day and Diwali while Mr. Pavala was not Hindu. After he heard that, he then laughed comically and spoke this quote, why should he miss it? Because I believe that in sharing everything and enjoying in everything, he will have such a fun life and no gloom for him. In this chapter, it shows that everyone, every nation, or every religions should love each other and live it together in peace. Even though Mr. Pavala was not Hindu, but he still celebrate and enjoy Coconut Day and Diwali without any circumstances or any hatred. And moreover, it made his life live happily without any doubt. Compare in the real life, in this world filled with different countries and religions, some sort of problems are very hard to be solved, uh, especially the religious war nowadays. Is still one of the main issue that's still happening in this world. For example, the religious war between Indian and Pakistan is Israelis and Palestinian, which provide huge consequences to people and the country itself. And in contrast, if everyone in this world stops the hatred toward each other, especially the religious war, we together will live in peace and harmony, just like the picture have shown in this slide. And the second point is about nothing is wasted from learning. Mr. Pavali, he understood about the importance of learning, and he also knew that everything that we learn won't be wasted. But all of these things are very helpful for us in upcoming future or upcoming days. It was all started when Harry described about his struggle of finding the job because he worked randomly, he do everything he can, and he have done every job he could that he could in order to get money for his family. So in real life, show that nothing, there are no succeed without learning. In order to 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 succeed in something, we have to learn the skill, the knowledge. One day we will succeed. And for the third point and the last point is about the change is gain. So after Mr. Pavala heard everything about Harry said, he immediately told Harry that he will teach him the watchminding job if Harry wants to. He knew that in this world, everything will be changed. He also explained about the revolution and the involvement of our planet since it was where it started until now. And things change all the time. Nothing remains the same. And he also tell Harry that the wheels turn and turn and turn. It never stop and stand still. Uh, he wanted to help Harry to become a watchminder because he knew that if Harry doesn't change from doing the job randomly and to have one proper job, his life will be in a mess. However, Mr. Pavala, he could guarantee that after Harry had the knowledge about the watchminding, he may have a good future and can earn money by himself with this job at his hometown at Tulle. Due to the development in the infrastructure in the upcoming future, and a lot of people will come and get their watch fixed at any time, and he will earn a lot of profit from this job too. So we can learn that change sometimes leads to little chances, and it provide a new opportunity, new environment, and new skill to make us improve ourselves. So that's all for my part, and it also at the end of our presentation. Thank you, teacher, and everyone for listening to us. Goodbye.